Okay.
Well, so I don't know exactly what that means because I think on average your 1-card hands are better than your 0-card hands.
On average.
Right. I'm not. Matthias is much better at math than I am. We can defer to him here.
He's here. He's here. This is our first mulligan with 6 years of coverage. First mulligan to 0. First one.
I don't really know. Like I said, I just think you're supposed to keep. I don't know where the line is, but I definitely think you're supposed to keep the 1-card hand because your hand has a card in it. Instead of no cards
Instead of no cards, yeah.
Unless you're just going to concede and you don't want to get hit with the discards. You want to like increase the number of turns where you don't have to concede in the face of a discard spell. Seems unlikely.
All right, so I think we're the goal. Okay, get your info of what he's playing and then concede immediately. Is that the plan here? We're done, right? Okay, perfect.
We have just had some real barn burners to start off day 2.
And you know what this is great for? This is great for our sponsors who just really want to get into the face of our viewer and sell them something. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to let you listen to sponsors now after that riveting game 1. So we'll be back in 2 minutes. Well, we're back. Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan, getting ready to watch Affinity versus Blur Giftstorm, or at least try to watch it, because, wow, was that first game not a game? So you think you should keep the 1 card instead of the 0? Did you get to talk to Matthias about that?
I haven't yet. I think, again, the line's unclear. You know, are you supposed to keep any 3-card hand versus mulligan to 2? I don't know. But the 1-card hand has the benefit of having a card in it, which is not true of the 0-card hand. So that is a line for me.
Okay, got it. Sounds like you've really put a lot of time and thought into this.
I can't say I have.
We'll go to the sideboards here with Paul Kowalski. 2 Ancient Grudge, 2 Master of Ethereum, 2 Rule of Law. And that's Champion of Spellskite, Dispatch, Whip Flare, Spell Pierce, Hazoret the Fervent, Raft Trigger's Cage, Back to Nature, and Gear Pow, Aether Grid.
Take the Cage, take the Spell Pierce, and the 2 copies of Rule of Law.
Pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward.
Caleb's side, 4 pieces of the puzzle, 3 Lightning Bolt, 2 Into the Warrens, 2 Search for Escanta. That's a new one for Caleb, along with an Engineered Explosives, a Giga Drowse, Shattering Spree, which is maybe coming in a wipe away. I guess he doesn't know what he's playing against.
Yeah, if he doesn't know, then I'd probably just same 60 it. And if he knows, then the bolts can come in, the Shattering Spree also, the explosives.
It is appearing that Paul is taking a mulligan to 6. Will Paul keep more than 6 cards? Excuse me, more than 0 cards this game.
Will Paul start the game with 1 or more cards in this match?
We're going to find out as he continues to shuffle his deck. And while he's doing that, which is very boring, I think we talk about game night. What do you think? You
Sure.
don't get a choice.
Sure.
So let's talk about game night. Yeah, buddy, it's all you, man. Go get them.
You can head over to go.starcgames.com/game night, find out more information. Every month, Star City Games comes out with these kits with pins and tokens to them, and we send to the stores that are signed up for game night, and then stores run game night however they want to. Right now we're in April, so we have the 3 Brave Mice for our stores who are signed up, and then we can go to May here, and we'll see some kits coming down the pipeline momentarily in Feline Focus, and then in June, Prehistoric Playtime. Again, go.starcgames.com/game night for more information. Find the game night closest to you. And if you're a store who wants to get signed up for game night, contact your Star City Games in-store play representative.
All right. Paul has kept 6. Impressive stuff. Congratulations, Paul. Let's see your deck do things. Darksteel Citadel, Vault Scourge, Mem Knights, things.
Look at those cards. Look at those game objects.
Unbelievable.
Kowalski just firing away. Played a land for the turn. Added mana.
Springleaf Drum going to add more mana.
This matchup, I think, is very good for Storm at a baseline.
I think you're right. It's gotten worse now.
Yeah.
Grafdigger's Cage in for 1. We'll head back over to Caleb now. It is interesting because I'm very curious as Caleb's going to play a Brawl, Chief of Compliance, how Caleb sideboarded.
Yeah, maybe if your opponent knows that you are playing Storm, maybe just in the dark you bring in the Wipe Away.
Okay.
Because there's some chance they have a problematic permanent.
2 mana. Steel Overseer. Vault Scourge in for 1 in the air. Kowalski back up to 20. Sheer down to 18. Let's see what Caleb can do now. He's got his cost reducer. This deck is very good at going off on turn number 3.
Yeah, this spot, the deck has a pretty high win rate from this position. Untap with Brawl, Chief of Compliance, having capped 7 cards. It's definitely complicated by Grafdigger's Cage, however.
You'll know if Caleb's going to go off as he plays Shivan Reef once he starts reaching for his little mana counters and perhaps even his own Storm counter. Instead, he just plays Shivan Reef and passes the turn back. So nothing going on just yet for our Blue-Red Gift Storm player.
And if he knows what he's playing against, he should have a configuration of Engineered Explosives, Wipe Away, and Shattering Spree that allows him to gifts for an answer to Grafdigger's Cage.
Yeah, it should be easy enough. Arcbound Ravager. That's going to resolve too.
It's not so much a Ravager matchup. It doesn't add appreciably to the clock.
Yeah.
More for insulating yourself against removal spells.
Steel Overseer is going to pump up the jam. Unfortunately here for Kowalski, it's just not the fastest clock.
Right. The Overseer will help, but his start is not very explosive in terms of damage. Probably at least 2 turns away from generating a kill. And unless Scherer just cannot beat a Grafdigger's Cage, I don't think he's going to get 2 turns.
I would be shocked if he can't beat one. I know he didn't see what he's playing against game 1, but Wipe Away is so, I guess for lack of a better term, free to sideboard in. Yep. Since it does a nice job of taking care of anything that's problematic.
Well, the thing is, you can't get the Wipe Away with the gifts unless you've brought in 2 other cards that work the same way. So you have to, if he knows he's playing against Affinity, if he's sat next to Kowalski over some point in the tournament, this should be trivial. But if he's caught off guard by this cage, it gets really complicated.
He does have a Noxious Revival in his deck, and he has a main deck copy of Unsubstantiate. So it appears as though he's got some ways to bounce a permanent.
Yeah, if he has 3 ways in his deck to get a Grafdigger's Cage off the table, I think he should be just fine. But we'll find out here in a moment if that's the case.
Yep. A Repeal?
Yeah, Repeal, Metamorphose, a Ritual.
Well, he doesn't even need 3 ways just because he has Passion Flames in his deck. You know, like you just search for whatever bounces a permanent plus Passion Flames. That means you always have access to it.
Well, you can't cast out of your graveyard.
Ah, right, because of the cage. Right, you're right. You're right.
So, I mean, there might be some other weird ways to backdoor.
Yeah.
But at a baseline, the easy way to do it is just have 3 things.
Right, yeah. I forgot. Yeah. Can't cast it from the graveyard. Never mind. Noxious Revival. Well, there you go.
Yeah, okay, then this will do it.
Yep. Repeal's going to go back on top of the deck. Repeal will be the draw step. This will be a land. And are we, yep, there's Repeal. It costs 1 less because of Baral, of course.
This is a small thing. I think you're just supposed to sack to the Ravager there, because the odds that you recast the cage next turn and it works, I think is much lower than the card he's drawing leads to him killing you this turn.
Ah, okay, I didn't even think about that.
It's small. I don't think it matters, but I think in that spot you're best served by just sacking to the Ravager and hoping that he can't go off.
Sure. Here's Pyretic Ritual. Storm counts up to 4. We've got Noxious Rival, Repeal, 2 Pyretic Rituals. Those are your spells. 5 red mana floating, Past in Flames. We're down to 2 red. And Caleb Scherer is off to the races, folks. If you've watched the SCG Tour, you've seen this many times. He is out here doing his thing, recasting Pyretic Rituals and working through his graveyard now that cage is off the battlefield. Going to recast a Manamorphose. Yellow blue. Draw a card. And gifts again.
Yeah, the kill from this spot is pretty trivial.
It is indeed. Caleb will search up a couple of cards with gifts. He's working in easy mode right now, though.
So I think you want to get a Grape Shot and another gifts among your selection of cards. Kowalski can't give you either of those, and so then you're tutoring for the 3rd and 4th best options. Because if you give the Grape Shot, then he can cast Grape Shot and then cast it out of the graveyard. He just has it. And the gifts leads down in the same way.
Gotcha.
So whatever other 2 cards you want to get in that set is just what you get.
Yeah, Desperate Ritual, Manamorphose, a Grape Shot, and looks like Unsubstantiate.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's trivial in any set because he has the Noxious Revival in the graveyard still. So he can always put, even if you don't give Grape Shot, he puts it back on top of his deck with the Noxious Revival, draws it with a cantrip, casts it, and then flashes it out of the graveyard with a Past in Flames. So there's no way to cut it off at this point, assuming that Caleb can cast 11 spells, and we're already at 9 with this happening. So ring the bell.
Ring-a-ding-ding. We'll be done here shortly. Caleb's going to be moving on to 9-2 here momentarily. This is just another great tournament for him. We always see him doing well with Storm. It has a very difficult Humans matchup, but besides that, this deck is pretty well positioned against the metagame, Patrick.
I think its matchups against Jund and most flavors of Jace the Mind Sculptor decks are very good. A lot of the decks that you would play as a reaction, like Tron or Matthias playing with Amulet Bloom the other day, or Amulet Titan rather the other day, a lot of those matchups seem very, very good for Storm.
Yeah.
We have seen very little burn in the room. That's often a problematic matchup for Storm. Very little presence of that.
There's pieces to the puzzle.
Yeah, Caleb just kind of running up the score here a little bit.
4 and 5. He did even bring in the wipe away. Manamorphose and Pyretic Ritual. The rest of those cards will go to the graveyard. You see 2 separate graveyards here for Caleb because of Past in Flames. Here's Manamorphose as well. Very surgical with his storming. Up to spell 14. Now he'll recast Past in Flames. Resilient deck too. That's the other thing about Storm that's so scary. It goes off from such a low base.
Yeah.
It's very resilient. Works through hate very well.
I mean, if you let him untap with a reducer and they kept 7,
basically,
and you have no interaction, you're done.
Yeah,
you're done a huge percentage of the time.
And Paul Kowalski is done here. As Caleb Scherer is going to win this match over Paul Kowalski.